Howdy folks, Dreadshells here and welcome back to World of Tanks, and boy do I have a game to show you guys here today. I'm playing in my WZ-131, the Tier 7 Chinese scout tank, and I'm on Ensk encounter in a Tier 10 game. Now, it being Ensk and a Tier 10 game is already bad news for us. That means we're bottom tier, and it also means that we're on a map where early vision and mid-game vision aren't that relevant for the most part, as the engagement lanes are close enough to each other where your team are going to be spotting most of the targets for themselves efficiently. So they don't really so much need your vision as they need your you to stay alive, and then later on in the mid to late game you're able to have a much higher impact on the battle because more tanks are dead and you're able to drive around and maneuver. But enough of rambling, let's just get started. I decide to go for a early spot here of the 9-0 lines. This is actually one of the most dangerous option available to me, and I'll pause here real quick. You basically have two options on Ensk encounter. First, you can go up to this position here. A lot of people like to sit passively in this bush in E0. That does work pretty effectively for the mid tiers, like Tier 7 and below. But because of this being a Tier 10 game, a lot of the enemy tanks have really good vision, and I'm only going to be 150 to 200 meters away from these guys at max. And as you can see here, how this bush is situated, it's actually past the midpoint of this ridge. So if I get spotted sitting stationary in this bush, it's very unlikely that I'm going to be able to retreat and run away into cover in time before I get shot and or killed. So I decide to go for a somewhat deep roll scout instead of sitting passive, trying to catch the enemy off guard, and hopefully my mobility and the surprise of my roll scout will keep me from getting shot. And there we go, we get several spots in there. And I'm going to explain what I just did there. When you're doing this active roll scout, unfortunately there isn't a whole lot you can do about staying to cover from tanks that have moved up into this very corner in like H0 and J0. But what you can do to protect yourself from being shot as much as possible, there's this small cluster of destructible buildings here in E9. And you should be putting these buildings in between yourself and the majority of the enemy tanks so that they can't shoot you. These houses are destructible, but since they're double hitbox, it'll take them several shots to knock them down and then shoot you. So, and at the start of the game, these are a really good method to protect yourself from getting shot in your active roll scout. Alright, so now that we got our active spots in there and my team, the mediums on my team are moving up, there's no reason for me to be there, right? They can spot everything for themselves already. I've gotten the early intel for them. They know what tanks are in front of them, and they can then decide how they want to engage the enemy. Didn't give enough lead there on the Centurion 7-1. That was a pretty bad shot. I should have let it at least by 10-15 meters more there. Spot the enemy VK-4502B moving down the train tracks here. Completely useless shot there, even though I have premium loaded. The premium ammo here has actually quite high pen for a Tier 7 scout. If you're using the 100mm, it has 241 millimeters of penetration. But even with that, it's most of the time I won't be penning the front of a VK-4502B. It was a pretty useless shot to take there. And so now I'm just waiting, trying to protect the backside of my teammates here, as this 4502B was indicating that he was planning on flanking. Unfortunately there, the shot goes slightly low and to the right and it hits the train car. Kind of a precision shot there. I was trying to aim above it and hit the side of the VK. Now I'm trying to hit another precision shot here underneath the rail tracks and able to get there, the back of the VK. My teammates there, the Tiger 2 and the E50 there, over there in that house cluster are in trouble. They're having enemies pushing them from the front and from behind. And I was planning on moving in behind here to try and help keep them alive, but I had really bad situational awareness and forgot that the 183 was sitting on these railway lines, and it was a completely unnecessary shot that I took from the 183, and I'm lucky to be alive. I have no idea why he didn't get a full pin on me. I believe that was a Hesh round, and he must have clipped the side of my tracks or something like that. There's no other reason why it wouldn't have done full pinned. And so now I'm only on 55 hit points, so once again, I'm kind of employing what I did just a little bit ago. I'm trying to provide some backside support as much as possible when the enemy tanks are pushing aggressively into my teammates. I'm trying to provide another angle of fire and shoot the enemy tanks in the side as they're attacking my teammates, making the enemy tanks pay in HP and potentially kills as much as possible. For pushing into my team. Unfortunately there, I think my last shot clipped the pillar there of the coal mine or whatever that is there. And I wasn't able to see that through the bush. But as long as my teammates here are alive here and they're acting as an anvil, I'm going to be the hammer, right? As long as they have enough HP and they are standing their ground, I'm going to stick around. But now that the E75 is so low health and there's so many tanks on the enemy team that can shoot him, I decide to anticipate that he's going to be dying very quickly and decide to run away. I could have arguably stuck around for another shot, but might have been exposing myself to extra risk to do that. Unfortunately, we have two mediums up there trapped in A0 and they're being encapsulated by the enemy team. Fortunately, bounced the angled side of the T-32 there. The American heavies don't have very good side armor, so I'm not sure why that didn't pen. And now the enemy T-32 is focused on me. He was kind of looking in the same direction as me, but he was focused on the T-49. Really risky shot there to take on the enemy T-32. I was banking on the fact that maybe the bush would keep me from getting spotted until I fired, or something like that, but I think I got spotted anyway, so I think I just got lucky with this slow reaction time. Unfortunately, bounced my shot there on the T-32. Not the best aimed shot, but the shot goes high and right, clips the very right edge of the T-32's angled hull. Really lucky that the enemy E5 misses his kill shot on us and we're able to stay in the game for longer because of it. And now we're just swarming this E5 and we're able to kill him. And I'm gonna pause the game here again. That whole sequence of events, and let's see if I can go into free cam here. That whole sequence of events that started way back here in B5 and in B6, I was basically biding my time. The enemy team spent most of their forces into the 9-0 lines, so it's inevitable that we're going to be losing this back corner right here. So as soon as they started encapsulating the remaining teammates, I made the decision that we have to push in the opposite direction, right? We have to do the same thing that the enemy team is doing to us, but on the other side of the map. We need to encapsulate and kill off the couple enemy tanks that are back here, because if we kind of lollygag and take our time with trying to kill them, we're not only going to be having these enemy tanks down here, but we're going to be having all these enemy tanks coming back around and coming up from behind us, and then we're going to be surrounded from two different directions. And we don't want to be surrounded by two different directions. You want to keep the enemy in one angle of fire as much as possible, and you want to be the one that's surrounding the enemy and not vice versa. So now that we got the E5 killed, now it's kind of a find the enemies as they're pushing into us. Generally, when this happens, the enemy players get really overconfident We've been down several tanks for most of this game, actually, and we've been fighting and clawing our way back to try and stay in the game. But generally, when an enemy flank is chasing the backside of your flank, sometimes they overcommit and isolate themselves, like this enemy T-54 on the enemy team. And the other enemy T-54 was a one-shot, and our T-49 did a great job in prioritizing the one-shot tank and getting his gun out of the fight. Really bad shot there, didn't give enough lead to the enemy T-54 there, and he's able to stay alive there for one more shot. Our 121 tier 10 Chinese medium does a great job in securing the kill on that, and now we're in the game. It's even 3-on-3, although one of the enemy tanks is M5355. Unfortunately, the enemy KV-4 is able to one-shot our Tiger II. He wasn't using the 107mm, I believe is what it is. He was using the 122mm, which has a higher alpha. And so he was able to one-shot our Tiger II. But me and the 121 are able to kill him in return. And now it's a cat and mouse game. When you're in endgame scenarios like this, where there's only a couple of a couple of tanks on each team left alive, you need to be thinking psychological warfare and trying to be putting yourself into the enemy's shoes and trying to anticipate, what would I do if I were them? And what I would do if I were them is a full health T-95. I would keep driving into the city and trying to engage us. So we don't want to engage the T-95 frontally. I'm on 55 HP, doesn't even need to shoot me. If he just nudges me or bumps me, he'll kill me by ramming. And the 121 on my team is also one shot for him. So now someone is sitting in the encounter cap circle, and it could be the M5355 or it could be the T-95. The 121 there is asking me to spot for him. Make a mistake there, knocking over the pole. The artillery or the T-95 might be able to see that. And so now I'm being a little bit extra careful to try and avoid knocking over any further poles. Kind of nervous that the enemy 5355 might still be back there in that K0 corner where he was last spotted. Carefully peeking around this corner to try and see who's capping in the cap circle, and it's the enemy T-95. And he's full HP, so that's a really bad situation. Unfortunately, bounced the flat side of the T-95 there. It's actually a decent likelihood of penetrating if you have around 200 pen. You want to shoot above the tracks in that rear upper third of the tank to half of the tank. That's actually a decent chance of penning. Now I'm trying to communicate with my 121 teammate here that the T-95 was last looking at me when he was last spotted, and that he should try and see if he can peek around that diagonal street and maybe get a free shot of damage in. Now, thanks to the physics, I'm able to hop over those flat train cars. I noticed that in a couple of YouTube videos I watched in the past, it's possible to hop over those train cars. So that's pretty useful when you're trying to close the distance or change the lane that you're on. Making a mistake here with the communicating with the 121. I forget that on encounter mode they actually block off the windows here in this D4, D5 area with big piles of rubble that aren't there on standard mode, just for balance purposes, so that one side can't shoot into the cap circle from relative cover, as the south quadrant over here in G4 doesn't have any windows, and that would be unbalanced for map purposes. So we're not able to spot the T-95 from that location. Check in third person to see which direction that the T-95 is facing, and he's facing the 121. And now I decide to close the distance before the T-95 can turn around and shoot me. Unfortunately, the 121 dies to the M53-55 artillery. They're kind of a weird angle at where the enemy already was able to have a shot on him. And unfortunately, the 121 wasn't able to shoot the T-95 while he had his back turned to him. And so now I am freely able to kill this T-95, but not 100%, right? I need to be keeping in the back of my head, well, the M53-55 has a fairly quick reload, somewhere around 35 seconds, I'm not sure, but somewhere in that range. So I only have so much time to kill this T-95 before the M53-55 reloads, and I'm trying to stay as mobile as possible to make it hard for the M53-55 to shoot me. And then the M53 shows himself and exposes which angle he's at, so I know which area to stay in cover from now. Using the T-95 as cover just in case the M53-55 has the arc to shoot over that building, which it doesn't look like he did, because he was driving towards me to close the distance. And we're able to keep the T-95 track there and get the kill secure shot by shooting into that upper panel above the tracks that I was talking about earlier. And now I'm disengaging and looking to re-engage, right? I don't want to attack the M53-55 from a direction that he'll expect. He knows that I was there in the cap circle engaging the T-95, and he knows that I was last spotted driving to the west side of the city. So what I'm trying to do here psychologically is I'm trying to I was last spotted driving down this street to the west, right? So he's anticipating, and he might be looking in this direction, looking south to maybe to east. He's expecting me to be in this area here, so I want to relocate and come back from this direction, and hopefully catch him looking in the wrong direction, and then he would be an easy kill for me. Been on 55 HP since the enemy 183 has shot me this whole game, so it's been quite remarkable that I've been able to stay alive this long. I'm able to spot the M53-55 there. He's making a last stand there, sitting in the corner, and unfortunately now I'm kind of trapped. Gonna pause the game here. Unfortunately, I'm trapped here. I wasn't able to spot him until I had crossed this gap in between these two houses, as he was sitting right here. And now he can shoot me if I peek over this side of the house or this side of the house. So this is a really, really bad situation for me. I want to be able to kind of be in this same position, but able to know which way he's looking. And I don't know which way he's looking at me because I'm not close enough to be in proximity detection range. So what I want to do is I want to disengage from this position and move to a better position. Kind of taking a risk here. I've loaded some HE ammo. I can't kill him in one shot with HE ammo anyway, so it might be considered a misplay in that regard, as it's gonna take 2 shots to kill him regardless. Something I could have done differently in hindsight. See him reversing there and thinking that I might be able to squeeze a shot into the back of him before he turns, but I'm not. And he decides to be really aggressive, which is exactly what he's supposed to do. I track him, but he has a repair kit. And I'm able to reverse back into cover just in time before he squeezes off the shot. Lucky by me. Now I'm trying to avoid getting rammed by him, as he can't kill me by ramming me. And I'm able to stay away from him long enough to reload again and kill him. So, kind of a misplay there. I was getting too close and too aggressive. I should have stayed on this end of the building, and I could have been more conservative about how close I got to him to try and get some of these shots. And was quite lucky that he wasn't able to get his gun around the corner and shoot me in time before I got back into cover. But that's how the game ended up, and I was able to have a really, really high impact on the outcome of this battle, despite me being shot very early in the beginning of the game by the enemy 183, and luckily not getting one shot, and being on 55 HP for the rest of the game. And being a tier 7 light tank in a tier 10 game on a city map, I also had my work cut out for me. And generally, it's very, very hard to have a high impact on a battle that's matched up like this, but it's still possible. To give you guys some hope in your future games. And this is the highest XP base XP that is game that I've ever had in World of Tanks in my 36,500 battles. So I was really stoked and really super happy about the outcome of this battle. I'm speechless. I'm still speechless, as you guys can tell. It was quite a huge game, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. Wish you guys the best of luck out there in playing on Ensk, and hopefully I gave you guys a few ideas about some early spotting on encounter, keeping yourself safe, showing you guys what happens when you aren't mindful and get shot unnecessarily when you're not paying attention to all the angles. But then showing you guys how you can have an impact by trying to fill the angles of engagement. Find a position where you can set up, and if the enemy pushes your teammates, that you can shoot them in the side over and over and over again, as long as your teammates are alive. And in that regard, you can have a high impact on a battle that's matched up like this if you play a more of a support role instead of a kind of a tip of the spear role, that is. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. That is, happy hunting and take care.